Hi, my name is Gats, Order Fairy Librarian, and welcome to a new video. Today I'll be sharing my June TBR. It is really hot today. That's why we're sitting here and not on the couch where I usually sit, because that side is like the side where the sun is, and I'm trying to keep it out as much as possible, but it's not fully possible. So we're sitting here where it's like slightly cooler. Not much, but enough that I'm willing to move. But so June is Amazing Readathon, which is a readathon hosted by Brie from the channel For Pause in a Book, and I'm just really excited for it. The past 2 years I have watched a bunch of people vlogs with envy because I wanted to participate, but June has always been exams for me, so I couldn't. But this year I only have one exam, so I can participate finally, and I am super excited. So we already know what the main prompts are going to be. We don't know the order in which they're going to come, but we know what they are, and so I made a TBR with them. I'm on Team Pandorica, which means that I get bonus points for books that have been on my TBR for over a year, and books where the author's name on the cover is in either black or white. And then everyone gets bonus points for a book with like strong queer elements. So I made a TBR. Let's go over it. So for the main prompts, in no particular order, first I have more than one POV, and for that I picked The Blighted Stars by Megan O'Keefe. This is a first contact sci-fi story with a romance as well, and well, at least the synopsis kind of makes it seem as if it's going to be dual POV, so I'm gonna assume that it is, but I'm not entirely sure about that. Like, I didn't definitively check that, but I needed this on here somewhere because I'm already reading this in June with Scylla, and so I need to get this on here, and it didn't really fit anything else, so here it goes. Then the second prompt is a book with a building on the cover, and for that I have The Honey Witch by Sydney J. Shields. This is a fantasy romance. We have a building right there. It is a sapphic romance, so bonus points for queer, and also this has been on my TBR for over a year. I don't know what it is about this, but this book is giving June specifically, like not just a season, like specifically the month of June, and I don't know what it is, so I want to read it in June, and I had it planned initially for June last year, but didn't get to it, so I hope to read it this month because I'm really excited for it. It has some like Regency vibes, with a witch who, you know, like no one can fall in love with. I don't know if that's like a curse thing or just it's not allowed, but then it happens anyway, and we have a little romance, and I'm really excited for this. Then we also needed a book with an isolated setting, and for that I went with A Study in Drowning by Ava Reed. This is a fantasy about a woman who goes to the manor of her favorite author to like renovate it, I guess, and then stuff happens there. There's like her academic rival who's there too. I asked in Discord if this counts as an isolated setting because like this manor could be isolated or it could not be. But people said that it was, so I'm gonna go with it. This has been on my TBR for over a year, and it might work for the author's name, but I'm not sure because I'm borrowing this from a friend and I'm not entirely sure which edition that she has, and there is one edition that does have the author's name in white and another that has it in yellow. So depending on what edition that it is, because I don't have it yet, it'll be one of the two, but yeah, it definitely counts the 1+ year, because I've been wanting to read this for very long. Then we needed a book with a holiday, like featuring a holiday, and this kind of tripped me up. I feel like it's tripping a lot of people up, and like in the Discord there's a lot of talk about it, and asking for recommendations and stuff. People are struggling with this, but there was one book that I definitely want to get on here because it is the last book that I need like for regular prompts for her kid. And that is Didn't Nobody Give a Shit What Happened to Carlotta. This is going to be for my trans book for the Queer Alphabet Challenge and my orange book for the Even Bigger Rainbow Challenge. And then I'll have finished. This is about a trans woman whose name is Carlotta. And at one point she is incarcerated in a male prison. And so we go from there, but then also like once her sentence is done, so I'm not sure if like the first part of the book is in the prison and then the second part is after, or if like we get flashbacks. But in the second, like after plot thing is set over like the 4th of July, which is a holiday in the United States. So I think that works. The topic seems like a very hard-hitting one and you know, like emotional, hard-to-read one, but from reviews I see that like the writing in it is quite humorous, so I think that'll add some lightness, hopefully, to the reading experience. But this fits all 3 bonus points because, you know, like we have a trans main character, where like that is definitely part of the plot and like the themes, so the queer stuff definitely works. The author's name is in black on the cover, and this has been on my TBR for over a year. I don't remember exactly when this came onto my TBR, but I know that it was on my original Her Kid TBR that I made at the start, which I made in June last year, and so it had been on my TBR at that point, so that's at least a year. So yeah, I'm quite excited for this. Actually, I've been wanting to read this for months now, and so June is finally going to be the month. Then sticking with Her Kid, there's also a secret prompt every month, where normally we don't get the prompt until the 1st of the month, but Q decided to be extra friendly for June, and she already let us guess what the prompt is going to be, and she said if we were right or not, and someone guessed right, and that is that the author's last name is also a first name, and that worked great because it was a book that I already wanted to read this month that fits that prompt. And the Amazing Readathon prompt that I'm going to be using it for is a book with mental health rep, and that is The Seven Sisters by Lucinda Riley. This is the first book in an 8-book series. about, you guessed it, 7 sisters. And at the beginning of the book, their father dies, so that's why the mental health rep, I assume that it's gonna deal with grief over that. But he leaves behind for each of his daughters a riddle that if they solve it will tell them where they come from, because all of them were adopted. And so each sister gets their own book, and then the 8th and final book is about the father. And so, yeah, we're following the first sister as she deals with the grief over losing her father, and also tries to solve this riddle, which takes her on a journey all over the world. And she falls in love, and yeah, I'm really excited. I've been wanting to read this book for a very long time. It is so popular. Not on Booktube though. Like, I don't really see anyone on Booktube a reading listener really, but just offline, she's an immensely popular author, and this series in particular is her most popular series. So I want to know what the hype is about. And yeah, I'm really excited to read this. It's a very long book, but I think that it's gonna read fairly okay. And then next, to prove to you that Riley can be a first name, if there was any doubt, for the prompt of a preposition in the title, I went with Black on Both Sides, A Racial History of Trans Identity by C. Riley Snorton. This is a nonfiction book about the intersection of being Black and trans, and just a history of that, or just like gender in relation to Blackness and stuff like that. And yeah, I am really excited. I've been wanting to read more nonfiction lately, so I made myself a goal for like the rest of the year to read at least one nonfiction a month. So this could be one for June, and it fits all 3 of the bonus prompts for the Amazing Readathon because, well, it is about trans identity, so queer themes. The name of the author is in white on the cover, and this has been on my TBR for quite a while as well. So yeah, I'm really happy to finally be getting to it. Then I needed a book that I don't own, which is really not a hard prompt for me. Most of the books I read, I don't own. I read a lot from the library. So this was essentially just a free pick for me, and I decided to continue a series that I have a great time with, and that is the Slaves series by Miriam Borges. This is Dante 3, which is book 6 in the series. There's 8 books total, and I just want to know what happens next, because I'm really invested in the series. I'm really loving this. This is a YA dystopian by a Belgian author. As far as I know, there's no English translations out for these, unfortunately, but I really love it. We follow 2 characters, Raven and Dante. It's alternating perspectives, but instead of like alternating chapters, they have alternating books. So the odd number books are from Raven's POV, the even number books are from Dante's POV. And so it is set in a future where the economy has collapsed to the point that slavery has become a thing again. And Raven and Dante are both slaves in this world. Raven, at the beginning of the first book, is accused of killing her master, and Dante is tasked to prove her innocence, and they get into like this whole political conspiracy scheme, because this person who was murdered was one of the most powerful people in the world, and so just a lot of political enemies who wanted to get rid of him and didn't mind blaming some random slave, because why would they care? And so yeah, I really enjoy how the series is progressing. I am just really, really loving it. And especially Dante's perspective is interesting because he is really more involved with the political things going on, whereas Raven is more isolated and is just in a position where she doesn't have a whole lot of information. She doesn't know what is going on. She's affected by the politics, but she is just not in a position where she can do a lot back, whereas Dante can really understand all that is going on, or learn all that is going on and play his role in the political scheming. So yeah, I'm really, really enjoying this series. For the bonus prompts, we have the author's name is in white on the cover, but that is the only thing that really counts because there's no significant queer rep in the book. And I'm not letting too much time pass between installments, so it has not been on my TBR for over a year. It is very chunky though, so I get a lot of points per page count. And I read these so quickly. Like, I absolutely devour these books. So, not a lot of bonus points, but per page points, this is going to be a good one. And then the final prompt is a book that was recommended on Booktube specifically. And for that, I'm going to go with The Just City by Jo Walton. This is a bind-up of the entire trilogy. But this was recommended by Kitty from the channel Kitty and the Books. And it just sounds like everything I've ever wanted in a book. So it is a sci-fi fantasy thing where the Greek goddess Athena has frozen an island in time and brought all the like big thinkers and just the smartest people from over the centuries to this particular island to try and form the ideal society based on Platon's idea of the ideal society. And so we have like a little like philosophy and art and all that in this city, and things go from there. We also have the god Apollon, who kind of wants to learn about the human condition, and so we have him as well. And it's basically about you're creating these environments that like in theory would create the ideal society, but why can't we actually get there? Like, what is preventing us humans from actually reading this ideal situation? And I'm so excited for this. Like, oh, I can't wait. So there's the books for the main prompts. But on top of that, there is also a weekend, like 48-hour readathon that I'm not sure exactly what the parameters for that are, like if there are specific prompts or not for that, or what those prompts are going to be. But I have collected a list of shorter books that I wanted to read this month. So let's go over those. So the first one is The Bruising of Kilwa, which is a Persian-inspired fantasy novella that also has some strong queer stuff. And this, I, like last week, joined the bindery community from Jenny from This Story Ain't Over, and she has a book club on there where they read one fiction and one nonfiction every single month, and the fiction pick for June is this book, and I've been eyeing this one for quite a while, so I thought perfect opportunity. So it has queer themes, and it has been on my TBR for over a year. And as I said, it's a novella, so it's very short. So yeah, I'm really excited for this. Then for another book club, the Evil Minds Research Group, which is a book club that is about reading books with mysteries in them, whether it's our primary or secondary genre. And for June, we're going to be reading City of Illusions by Ursula Le Guin. I am going into this completely blind, but someone suggested it, so I assume there could be a mystery in it, but I've been wanting to try Ursula Le Guin for a very long time, and so yeah, I'm gonna be doing that now. And it's a novella, so perfect for a 40-hour readathon, and the author's name is in black on the cover, so we do get some bonus points for that as well. And then, while we're at book clubs anyway, there's also the Interstellar Book Club, which is hosted by Steph from the channel Coffee Over Apples. And they, well, in April, they read The Left Hand of Dog by C. Clarke. And in June, they're going to read the second book in that series. But I haven't read this first book, so I need to catch up. But it's a novella series as well, so that shouldn't be too hard. So the first book is The Left Hand of Dog, which is about our main character whose dog is kidnapped by aliens. And so they go with the dog on this spaceship in the shape of a teapot. It sounds absurd, but it's like a cozy sci-fi thing. So the first book is The Left Hand of Dog. The second book is Judgment Dave. But there's also novellas. So there's a 0.51, which is Stardust Wake. And then a 1.5 novella that is The Night Before. So I might try to squeeze those in as well, because they're even shorter than those are more like short stories than actual novellas. So they shouldn't take me too long. But the main character is non-binary, if I remember correctly. So they each have the queer bonus prompt, but that's it, because I had never heard of this book until it got picked in April. So not longer than a year, and also the author's name is not in black or white. So yeah. Then I also have an ebook checked out from the library for Catalina by Carla Cornejo Villavicencio. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Which is like a dark academia book about this Latina girl who goes to a prestigious university and, you know, gets to deal with racism there. It doesn't really fit any of the bonus prompts. At least I don't think so, unless there's like some queer stuff in here that wasn't like made clear in a synopsis. But yeah, I wanted to try it. It looked interesting. I don't know a ton about this, but we'll see. And then the last book that I have as an option, like a very short one, is Honeybees, A Natural and Less Natural History by Jacques van Alphen. This is another nonfiction, but this one is on my 26 books to read in 2026. It is about the evolution of honeybees and on the impact that beekeeping in Western Europe and North America has had on the bee population there, and what we can do about the problems and how we can make beekeeping more sustainable. So yeah, I'm interested in that. It has been on my TBR for over a year, and the author's name is in white, so that's good. Definitely be an option. And then there's 2 more books that I have checked out from the library that, you know, all spots on my list are already filled. But I would like to read them anyway. So one of them is Act Your Age Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert, which is the third and final book in the Brown Sisters trilogy. I really enjoyed this series, where each of the book follows one of the sisters, and this is about the youngest, Eve, who is autistic and, you know, kind of has to grow up and get her independence. And the other is like the owner of a B&B, which I don't know what, like a hotel or a B&B setting. I don't know what it is, but I really like that. So I'm very excited, and I've heard from a lot of people that this is their favorite, and I've given both other books in the series 5 stars too, and they were just really cute and lovely, and so I hope that this is going to be that as well. So yeah, I have that. And then the last book that I'm going to mention in this video is Hadriana in All My Dreams by René Depestre. This is a classic from Haiti. It is about a woman who dies and then returns a zombie. But it has like zombies in like a commentary on capitalism. So, you know, like the workers in the capitalist system, they are the zombies. And so yeah, I'm really excited for this. This book was recommended by Elizabeth from Plant-Based Bread. She read it earlier this year, and I've been wanting to read it since watching her vlog for it. So yeah, I think now's the time, because in the fall I will be starting a French-speaking university, and I am a little bit scared because it's gonna be in French, and so I need to refresh my French a little bit. So I also want to read a few books in French before that time, and so this could be that. So yeah, I don't know where I'm gonna put this in. Because I just think it's quite likely that I might DNF something else that I could be replace this with, because this fits quite a few prompts. Like, it has a preposition title, it has a holiday because we have like carnival mentioned on the back. It's a book I don't own, it's a book that was recommended, so like there's quite a few prompts that it could work with. So like I have this in my back pocket, and I really would like to get this, or maybe like as a sightseeing book. I just really want to put this in somewhere, but I'm not sure where. So yeah. Anyway, that is the TBR. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you've read any of these books, please let me know, and let me know what you're going to be reading in the month of June, and then I'll hope to see you again in a video.